currently director of an organisation called Since 9/11. We were founded on the 10th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. We run educational programmes in schools across the UK to stimulate conversations about terrorism, conflict, extremism, all sorts of topics with children and young people. My background before this is working in the UK government's Prevent strategy, which is the prevention strand of the overall counter-terrorism strategy. Let's be honest, things like September 11th and then the 7/7 attacks in the UK, they kind of took us by surprise. Our response was kind of hurried. It was, what is this new phenomena? What is this new brand of terrorism? What are we going to do about this? We got a lot wrong in the early days of the Prevent strategy, and there was a lot of clumsiness because we realized we needed some sort of quick response, and there was no blueprint for this. The number one thing that I think's made an impact is people on the ground going out day after day and talking to professionals working with children, young people, members of the community. Countering violent extremism, preventing violent extremism, it can be a lonely world. It can be a lonely job. Honestly, the only way that this works is if we amplify each other's work and learn from each other. You're not going to be able to do a cutout, cookie cutter approach in every area, but there are certainly things that you can learn. I mean, what works where I'm standing right now might not work a mile down the road, but it's so important to amplify each other's works and learn from each other, because you're doing things independently a lot and you're going to get attacked and you're going to get skepticism about what you're doing. So, the extremists that we're trying to counter are organised against us and have their networks and they talk to each other. So those of us who are trying to counter it and prevent it, why shouldn't we? What I think is the success of what we've done here in the UK is that despite the fact that the funding might come and the political will might come from government, the approach taken here is a ground up one. It really has to be a localized approach and fit to the context of each area, because the people are different in each area, the industry is different in each area, the demographics are different, the beliefs are different. Like I said before, that cookie cutter approach doesn't necessarily work. So a grassroots coalition is the only way to go. There's plenty of evidence that merely being exposed to somebody else's worldview and political opinions on different issues, it actually builds tolerance to that opinion and to that worldview. Politics is polarizing and people aren't really willing to engage in a way, I think, that they might have been a few years ago. We have to read everything through a critical lens and we have to view everything through a critical lens. And then the next step after that is exposing ourselves to different people and different opinions. And, I've seen firsthand here from the countering extremism work that we do, you can go into a room, and I've seen colleagues do it time after time, go into a room full of, let's call it teachers, whatever it might be, they start from either a position of skepticism or outright opposition, and give an hour with this person and the whole room's on board by the end, because you've actually explained what you're trying to do past the headlines, past the hyperbole, and past what, people assign intentions to other groups of people that aren't always the case. So let's take it straight from the horse's mouth. And I think the only way we can do this is, as counter-extremism practitioners, is to go out and be heard and talk to, whether it's 5 people one day and 500 the next day. It's the only way to do it. I'm convinced of that. I think the very fact that Light Upon Light is aware that it might create its own echo chamber before it's even really got off the ground is a really positive start. I think what's important for us is, if we're building a coalition to oppose extremists, to me, it doesn't really matter if it's left, right, or whatever. It's left or right, to me, is a narrow disagreement within the wonderful confines of liberal democracy. Extremists would destroy liberal democracy in a heartbeat. So I think any squabbles between left and right pale in comparison. Some people don't have a legitimate interest in countering violent extremism success. And then, you'll get attacks from the political right, which thinks that this is, being too soft on terrorists. And then you'll get attacks from the political left that thinks it's, spying and surveillance and things like that. And the truth is it's neither. It's, in my view, a very necessary component of a holistic counter-terrorism strategy.